everyone, and welcome back to another awesome episode of Damos in the Class. Today's aim is how to use mental math to divide. All right, so for today's first problem, we're using mental math to find the missing number. So we got 2100 divided by space equals 30. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to, again, look at this problem without the zeros. And I'm just putting this here. It's not going, but I'm just moving that. So in my mind, I could think about 3 and I could think about 21. And when we do that, if we know our multiplication facts and our 3 times table, 3 times what can get you 21, Jamir?
3 times 7.
Exactly. So 3 times 7 gets us 21, right? So let's check that in our math. We know 3 times 7 is 21. So let's do 3 times 70 will get you 21 and 10. And if you do 3 times 700, that'll get you 21 and 2 zeros because we're just taking the zeros and putting them here. But for this one, we had 30. We didn't have 3, right? So that's going to be a little bit different. We're going to take the 30 times 7, which is the same thing. 7 times 3 is our 21. We got 10, so we put that here. That gives us a 210. But we need 2100, so we're going to do that one more time. 30 times 7, but we're going to add a 0. Instead of 7, it's going to be 70. Equal, we still know that 7 times 3 is 21. And we have 2 zeros, 1 and 2. We put those here, and there's our 2100. So our missing number, should it be 7 or what should it be?
200.
No, what should be? We have 2100 divided by 7 equals 30. Is that right? Or should it be, what should it be? Should it be 7, the missing number? Or is it what? What does 30 times 7 gets us what?
210.
Is that 2100?
No.
All right, so which one gets us 2100?
30 times 70.
Exactly. So the answer is 70. 30 times 70 is 2100. That's the answer for the missing number. All right, for our next problem, Jamir earned $3,000 at the bookstore. If he worked for 50 weeks and he earned the same amount of money each week, how much money did he earn each week? So we're going to set up the problem just like we set up the last one. So the amount of money that he had was $3,000. We don't know. Right. And we don't know how much he earned. So this is the money that he had earned. This is the 50 weeks. We need to know how much he earned each week. So that's what the answer is going to give us. So this would be money earned. And this would be weeks worked. And then this is going to be how much he made. All right. So we're going to do it the same exact way. We're going to look at this mentally, right? Because mentally we can figure out these things if we just think about it. So I just like to move my 0, just 1 from each one. We're going to put it back in later in the answer as you see. But this way it gets our divisor to have no 0, which helps us divide into the other number. So now if we were to take 300 and put that in your house and put your 5 on the outside, that's all that we're doing. Then we know that 5 is too big to get any groups out of 3. But 30, we can get groups of 5. How many groups of 5 can we get?
We get 2 groups.
2 groups?
Or we get 1 group.
1 group? What you trying to get to? We trying to get to 30. We trying to use 5 groups. We trying to get to 30. So 5 times what? See, that's the thing. You got to always remember when it's division, you go into the opposite, which is multiplication. So you start thinking about your 5 multiplication facts.
So 5 times 6.
There we go. So then 5 times 6 is what's going to get you 30. Just going to write that over here. Excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. So 5 times 6 is going to get you to 30. All right? So we're going to put our 6 up here. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to do what? The multiplication, correct?
Mm-hmm. 5 times 6 equals 30.
Yep. So we put that 30 right up underneath there. Now, because 30 take away 30 leaves us a 0, I never write my 0. I just bring down this other 0. And when we have a 0, we cannot get anything out of 0. Therefore, we put another 0 over top. We still got to do that multiplication. I like to put my X here so people can remember to always multiply. So 0 times 5 is how much?
50 equals 0.
Right. 0 times any number is 0. So we get another 0. And that is it. And our answer should be $60. Now, in your mind, that's what they rather you do. I worked it out. But this is mental math. Mental math is made so you don't have to do all of these steps when you should easily be able to look at the problem and say, 5 times what could get me 30? We knew the 6. If you just put back in that 0, there was the answer. So you didn't really have to do no work. But while you're still trying to get your multiplication facts down pat, I can understand and I would advise you to then work the problem out. However, the more you learn your multiplication, you would not have to write none of this. You would have knew that 6 times 5 would give you 30. You needed 2 more zeros. Once you put in that 1 0 here, that would have gave you 1 more 0. Then you put another 0, that would have gave you 2 zeros. And what I mean by that, in case me saying that is confusing, we have 50. We had 5 times 6 is 30. But now if we add a 0 back in, times the same 6, that's going to get us our 30. Then we're going to add 1 0. But we needed 3,000. So we still take the 50. And instead of multiplying by just 6, we're going to add that other 0. Now we're going to multiply 6 and 5 is our 30. We have 1 0 here. We have 1 0 there. And that gets us to our 3,000. And that's also your check to let you know that $60 is what he made. All right, now for our third problem, we're going to use mental math to find the missing number. So this time, guys, I want us to try to not work it out and let's actually use the mental math. So like I say, I'm just going to put this here just because, it's easier to look at that as a 2. But then we're going to put it back in. So first, that means we're going to do our 2 times table. Yes? So if I took 1 from here, I need to take 1 off from there. Because we're going to put those back. However, we want to now find how do we get to 220 using the 2 tables. I know everyone knows their 2 tables. So if you was to not look at none of the zeros, you actually have a 12 here, right?
2 times 6.
There we go. Great job, Jamin. So 2 times 6 gives us the 12. But do we need 12? No, so I'm going to put the 6 here. But are we trying to get to 12? No. We're trying to get to what? 1,200.
1,200.
So we got 12, but this isn't really 2, it's really 20. So now let's write that, which means we're just adding in a 0, which means we're just going to put a 0, 2 up here. Times the 6 gives us the 12 and what? 1 0, right? Mm-hmm. But we wanted 1,200. So that means we need a 0 where? Next to that 6, because we need 1 more 0, right? So let's try that. 20 times the 60 gives us 2 zeros like we needed because there's 2 zeros in the answer, well, in what we started with. And we know that 6 times 2 gives us that 12. We have 1 0 and we have our second 0. So 60 would be the answer. Great job, John, man.
Thank you.
All right, for our next problem. A truck travels 2,400 miles in 60 hours, going the same distance each hour. How many miles does the truck travel each hour? So, guys and gals, we're going to set this up the same exact way. We have our total miles, and we're going to divide that by the 60 hours that they did, and then we're going to see how many miles did they travel each hour. So miles traveled is the answer. And 60 hours of traveling. And 2,400 miles in total. All right. So now we're using mental math. That's the whole purpose of this. So again, you can hide the 0 next to the 6. You can cross it out like I like to do. But I just like to cross it out. And I always have it to do both because whatever you do to one side in math, you always have to do to the other. So even if you're just doing it temporarily, just for practice points, always just, if you do it to one side, just do it to the other. So now, we're going to be looking at what multiplication facts?
6s.
Exactly. So do you know your 6s? A little shaky? Don't worry about it. We're going to work it out. So what we need to now know, we have that 24 here, guys. That's what we're going to pay attention to. And we have a 6. So if you know your multiplication facts, you can always drop down and leave me a comment and let me know what 6 times what would get us 24. So how do you find that? You start out with 6 times 2 if you have to. And you keep going. So what's 6 times 2, John?
12.
All right. And what's 6 times 3?
18.
So then what's 6 times 4?
24.
There we go. Isn't that what we needed?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So 6 times 4. Great job. It's 24. But we got to get you on your toes. You got to know them like that. The quicker y'all know your multiplication, the easier you run through this. So if you already know, if you left me a comment, great job to you too. But yeah, 6 times 4 is 24. So we can go ahead and put that 4 in there. But did we need just 24?
No.
No, we needed how much? 24 and 2 zeros. You can look at it that way. Because when we're doing this, you want to be able to count your zeros. It's 2,400 when you say the number. But to think correctly while doing the operation, just think 24 and 2 zeros, which means your answer has to have 2 zeros next to the 24. And if we just do 6 times 4, that's only going to give us 24 with no 0. So how about we do 60, right? Because it was 60, right? So let's write that 60 times 4 is the same thing. 6 times 4 is our 24, but how many zeros?
1.
There we go. But did that get us there?
No.
No. So that means we might need a 0 on that 4 to make it 40, right? So let's try that. 60 times now 40, that has 2 zeros. That should be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because 4 times 6 is 24, like we know. And there's 1 0, 2 zeros, and that's what gets us our 2,400. So it's not a 4. It's how much?
400. 200.
The answer is going to be what?
4,000.
Why are you going to 4,000? Why are you putting so many zeros on the answer? 6 times 4, 60 times 4 is what?
240.
Is that the number we need?
No.
What number do we need?
We need
We need what number? This is the number we started out with.
24,000.
That's not 24,000.
200 and 400.
That's not 200 and 400. How about you name your places?
Ones, 10, 20, thousands.
So what is the number?
2,400.
There we go. So how many zeros is in that?
There's 2 zeros.
Okay, so the 2 zeros don't necessarily have to be at the answer. The 2 zeros could be split up between the divisor and the answer, correct or wrong? So where have you been at? How many zeros is in here?
2 zeros.
And what answer did we get?
We got 2,400.
Isn't that the answer we need?
Mm-hmm.
So then what did it take for us to get there?
1640.
So then what should be here?
40.
That's right. All right. There it is. All right, so for our next problem, again, we're using mental math to find the missing number. And now we have 3,600 divided by 90. And all these problems are just the same. So we should just want to focus on our main number. You don't have to cross it out. You don't have to do anything. It's whatever works for you to make sure you're focusing on the 9 and that 36, which means you should be thinking of your 9 multiples.
9 times 4.
Oh, yeah, you up on it. Yep, 9 times 4, great job, is 36. But we need 2 zeros to get to that answer for it to work out right. And they actually had a 90, not a 9. So we're going to do that second one. So that's 90 times 4. That's going to get us 36 with 1 zero. It's how I describe it, so you never forget, because what tricks you is when your answer in multiplication has a 0, sometimes it'll make you count 1 0 too short. So I like to always write in the actual answer and then add my zeros. So as you see, 36 was the answer for 9 times 4. 36 is our answer, and then we added 1 0 that we got from the 90. So that didn't get us the number we need. That's only 360. So we need 3,600. So we need another 0, which means we're going to have to try to put a 0 where? So should it be 90 times 4 or what?
90 times 40.
There we go. 90 times 40. That gives us our 2 zeros. Equals, remember, 9 and 4 gives us that 36. We write in our 36. Then we have 1 0 2 0, 1 0 2 0. Now we got the same answer here. So then we know the missing number is 40. Great job. All right, so now for our last and final problem for today. Again, we're using that mental math, guys and gals. And we have 6,400 divided by a missing number equals 80. So either way it's set up, you still want to look at it the same exact way. You want to focus on the 8 and the 64 out of this problem. And so, do you know your 8 timetable?
8 times 8.
You're on a roll. I am not mad at you. That's what I'm talking about. Practice. See? That's how you know you've been practicing. Great job. And if anybody else knows, drop down, leave me a comment, and let me know what 8 times 8 was. And actually, if you know what 8 times 8 is 64, leave me a comment and let me know, how do we get to the 6,400 we need? Is it 8 times 8? We see that it's not. So what's the next one we're going to try?
80.
So we're going to do 80. Ooh, sorry, you did say 80. So 80 times the 8. We still look at the 8 times 8 was our 64. And then we write in our 1 0. So did I get us where we needed to go?
No.
All right, so what we need to do?
80 times 80.
There we go. Great job. 80 times 80. That should get it, because we got the 8 times 8 is our 64. 1 0 2 0. There we go. There's that 6,400. So we know now that 6,400 divided by 80 is 80. Great job. Give yourself a pat on the back, because you've earned it. All right, so that's the end of the video. I hope you guys found something useful. And remember, it's not what you don't know, but it's always what you're willing to learn. Until the next time, I hope to see you there.